Okay, Michael J. here. So here is the question. What is really happening with these tariffs against Mexico, Canada, Rubio, based on the address of Congress the other night, with Panama, Ukraine, and Putin? There's a bigger story here I think everybody's missing. And don't forget Doge with Elon Musk. So here's the deal. Like it's been stated by myself many times, actually over the last, since 2016. Since 2016, I have stated that Trump and Putin have been working together, with the understanding that these demagogues, autocrats, when push comes to shove and things don't go the way they want, they'll throw anybody under the bus, even their comrades, with a K. Comrade, how are you? Okay, so let's start first with Canada, the 51st state. Yeah, that really, that's like friggin' chewing on a burr and swallowing it. Holy frig. So, first topic here. Is Trump trying to make Canada the 51st state? And Trudeau seems to think he's hollowing out economy. So let's deal with the first one. Is Trump trying to make Canada the 51st state? Yes. Trudeau seems to think he's hollowing out economy. Yes. Yes on both parts.
The question that I still have is what exactly does Donald Trump want? Say he's using these tariffs as a leverage tool and that he really wants to get a better deal from Canada, from Mexico. What is a better deal?
Let's understand. Everybody's trying to figure out what he's doing. The art of the deal is bullshit. Number one, the guy's never understood the art of a deal. He doesn't know how to do deal making on a basis of actually doing it the way it's done normally. The way he's done it is with mob connections and getting an advantage to go into negotiations and manipulate behind the scenes to win the deal. And any negotiation is slanted in his favor. It's oppressive and suppressive to anybody that he's dealing with. Simple as that. That's his history. That's his M.O. from day one. 6 bankruptcies. The only guy I know of that can bankrupt a friggin' casino. That's usually a friggin' laundromat for cash. A legitimate laundromat for cash. Not talking about money laundering, which is another type of laundromat for cash. So, sorry, just not digressing, but this is the reality. Let's pay attention here for now.
He's talking about fentanyl. We send more fentanyl to Canada than they send to us. It's like 1%. It's almost nothing. It's not nothing, but it is almost nothing. Justin Trudeau seems to think that what Donald...
She makes an important point. 1% of fentanyl comes from Canada into the U.S. 2% comes from the U.S. into Canada. So this fentanyl has been expressed earlier as just a tin hat foil topic just to disguise what's really going on. And the tariffs, it's just an economic hijack of the Canadian economy. Wants to take over Canada. Wants to get Panama. He wants to make sure Putin gets Ukraine. This is why Ukraine, and this is why the situation in the Oval Office the other day, and after the situation in the Oval Office, a few days later, withdraw the armaments aids to go to Ukraine. You know, Russia's still bombing Ukraine. Trump stops the aid going to Ukraine. Secondly, as at either today, which I believe is March 5, I'll have to check when we get back to the... got no clocks. I work on friggin' space-time. Not time-space continuum. So, the U.S. has withdrawn intelligence sharing with Ukraine also. Like, who's this guy working with? He's trying to help Ukraine and the democracy, the free world, the protector of the free world. Come on now. No protector of the free world would do that. And it's very simple. It's there right in front of your face, and you're letting it happen, and nobody's saying anything. Now, secondly, as we see up on the screen, new tariffs, an additional 10% on imports from China and 25% on all imports from Canada and Mexico. Now, like the guy from 1930s Germany, Trump may be just biting off a little more than he can chew. He's got a juggling act going here, so this is going to be a tough one. Putin has spent time the past summer working with Elon and Trump to get all this stuff coordinated, to get this stuff done. And they're doing their best, so a lot of this stuff's a distraction to take you away from what's really going on. And let's face it, Trump wants to assimilate Canada. Mexico, not too sure about. That's a tough one still for him yet. He's not sure how to do anything with that. But if he can get the other side of the fence of Mexico and get Panama into his back pocket, that puts it into a different position. Sell out Ukraine so his buddy Putin can take over Ukraine at the expense of the Europeans, so that way Putin and sweet potato Trump, I like to call him sweet potato Hitler. That's what I like to call him, because everything he's doing is right out of the playbook of Mein Kampf, which sat on his table side when he's going through his divorce with, which wife? Was it the first wife? One that got pushed down the steps in New York City and ended up being buried in one of his golf courses in New Jersey? That one? I may not be too far off there. So let's take it away. Let's see what's going on here.
Donald Trump is doing with these tariffs.
Because a lot of these people are just trying to figure out things and don't really know what's really going on.
To absorb Canada into America as the 51st state.
Well, look, you're absolutely right to ask the question, because the president's been all over the map when he describes what he's trying to do with these tariffs. You're right. He talks about fentanyl, but you're right also that less than 1% comes from Canada. That can't obviously be worth all the economic disruption that he's about to impose through these tariffs. He talks about trade imbalances. He talks about unfair trade practices with these trading partners. But remember, the rules that we currently have for trading with Mexico and Canada were set by an agreement negotiated by Donald Trump in his first term. He's the one who told us that the USMCA, the US-Mexico-Canada agreement that he negotiated, was a great deal. So now he's telling us that it's not a great deal, even though he's not taking blame for that, and saying that he needs to make changes through these tariffs. Or is it like what Trudeau says? Now, does Donald Trump really think he's going to annex or somehow absorb Canada? It's hard to say for sure. It seems pretty farcical, but I suppose it shouldn't be taken lightly. Certainly Trudeau's not taking it lightly. So the Canadians aren't taking it lightly, and it's actually affecting.
That's right. Don't take it lightly, because one thing you've got to understand with Doge, and the trained team of hackers, that's right, hackers, they're hacking into the system of the United States government. Now, are these guys embezzling money out of Social Security? Embezzling money out of the Treasury? You guys don't know what's going on. That could be a big, big, big positive. Let's let that one sink in. Doge has not found much in the way of fraud. They make out a lot and they post it, and then they have to take it down because they're the fraudsters. They're actually hurting people, ruining people's lives by what they're doing. These civil servants all actually provide a function and serve the people of the United States of America, but these guys are going to slash that from the inside. They're getting into the computer systems, so they're getting into the Treasury. They're getting into the books. They're going to cook the books for their own self so they can take over. That's their piggy bank. I wonder, what do you think Elon Musk has been doing? He's got over $15 billion a year in government contracts, number one. You think Tesla stock's going up and everything else? Guy tweets about 100 and 200 times a day. Do you really think he's doing any work over his businesses? No siree. So, this is what's happening, kids. Damn, is that true? Yeah, that could be true. So now let's move on to the next one. What's the next one, you say? Okay, so here you go. This is a different perspective. This was today. Okay, so it's March the 5th. So this is the Canadian woman. Jolie is her last name. So the tariffs are now put off for a month. You wonder, what the heck? For 2 days, the stock market's tanked because of the tariffs they never thought was going to go into place. Went into place. Now Ford, GM, and the other company, I forget what the name is, said, hey, Donald, what are you doing? So he's giving them a 30-day break. Can you believe it? A 30-day break on tariffs for those big three automakers that make up the free trade agreement between Mexico, Canada, and the United States. And so let's just see what Angelina Jolie?
The Prime
Ms.
Minister
Jolie.
and the President
Not
spoke
Angelina.
today. I also
Minister
spoke with
Jolie.
the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, a bit earlier at noon today.
Oh, and that's the other thing. This Marco Rubio. Where is his moral compass? Does this guy have a moral compass? He knows they're throwing Ukraine under the bus. Enough people have died already. Let's face it. Putin, the Truthmeister Putin, he's not a good guy. Do you really think he cares about anybody? Come on now. Wake up, folks.
And the Minister of Finance, Dominique Leblanc, and the Secretary of Commerce in the U.S., Howard Lutnick.
Meanwhile, Lutnick. This guy Lutnick, I think his company was canned for. I got it from its investment firm. It's kind of like a Goldman Sachs, but not Goldman Sachs, not as prestigious a firm. So anyways, I think it was canned for. They had an office in the World Trade Center that, you know what happened to the World Trade Center, the original. Couple planes did a no-no. Well, anyways, the employees died, and the best of my recollection, this guy Lutkin didn't pay the salary of the deceased people. So the families that were counting on the money for their main income earners, this Lutnick reneged on them. Now, don't quote me for sure on that, but I'm pretty sure I had seen that. I don't think it's a rumor. This is the way these guys operate. Just like Besant going on national television, Fox News, spreading some of sweet potato Trump propaganda. They're all caught up in the game. They're all caught up in the game. It's all money, it's all manipulation, and they're looking out for themselves, and that's all it is. It's really all it is. So let's see what Madame Jolie, take it away, Madame. mademoiselle.
Spoke together. Now, we will make sure that we continue to defend Canadians' interests in the context of this unjustifiable trade war that was launched by the US. And also, we'll make sure that we will never negotiate against ourselves. And so we will be there to stand strong. And it's not true that we will go through this psychodrama.
There you go. That's the key element. Psychodrama. Don't get caught up in the psychodrama, folks. Do like my two buddies do at the end of the show. They nap on things. Don't get into a state of anxiety. Understand what's going on. She said it best. Don't get caught up in the psychodrama. That's point 2. Or is that point 3 or 4? Now we're going to move on here. What was it, 2 hours ago? And this is still March 5. Trump pauses auto tariffs for 1 month. Right on.
Right now, though, I want to get some more perspective on what this discussion, what this negotiation, and in particular the auto sector means on the other side of the border. Former U.S. Ambassador to Canada and former Governor of Michigan, Jim Blanchard, is with us now to have that conversation. Governor, it's good to see you. Thank you so much for making the time.
Strange and weird times. I've just listened to Flavio.
That is, yeah.
They've got it figured out. I mean, first of all, let's back up. This entire so-called crisis is make-believe.
Okay, this is the point I want to make. This entire crisis is make-believe. It's engineered to play with your minds, to get you into a state of anxiety, into a fight-and-flight mode, so you cannot figure out what's going on. So understand that. This is a make-believe crisis. And this is right from the Russian playbook, right from the British blue blood divide and conquer. I know the guy that set up Boris Yeltsin, Trump with Boris Yeltsin to engineer the laundering of money for the Russians. The money for the nukes that were disarmed from Ukraine. Can you believe that? Ukraine gave up their nuclear arsenal for protection from the United States, security guarantees, and guess what happened with the word of the United States historically has not been that great. Sometimes they show up, sometimes they don't. When they really show up is when they exercise Article 5 of NATO after 9/11 to invade Iraq and Afghanistan. The Allies are there. Canadians, Germans, Dutch. They all lost lives. Did you hear me? NATO members lost lives because the only one that's exercised Article 5 of NATO is the United States of America after 9/11.
The United States has a manufacturing surplus with Canada and in autos as well. I'm reminded when there was a rescue of Chrysler and General Motors back in 2009.
Okay, so this gentleman's former Michigan governor. He's telling you the goods right now. This is a Putin, Trump, sweet potato Hitler made crisis so that these guys can friggin' rob the Treasury of the United States, throw Ukraine people under the bus so Putin can get in a position of authority to provide dominance over Europe. This is the way it is, folks. You can look at it many ways. Let's go to our next point of interest. Ooh, there's more? Okay, so here we go. U.S. pausing intel sharing with Ukraine. This here is the fiasco for the trade deal. The trade deal? Yeah, trade deal. No, the minerals, rare earth minerals. Trillions of dollars. So now the United States is holding Ukraine hostage. A form of extortion, actually. Well, they got Putin still bombing Ukraine to make sure the pressure's still on. The United States reneges on all their deals, but they're going to hold Ukraine to their deal, whatever they're trying to ram down his throat that he's resisting, and he should resist because it's a dangerous road they're taking him down. As J.D. Vance just... What can I say? The man has lost his way. Or has he ever found his way? That's the real question. Has J.D. Vance ever found his way? That's a good question, you say. Let's move. Whoopsie. Wrong button. Wrong button. I want this button. Let's move up here. Is it here? I don't think so. I think it's up here. Yeah, this is where we're going here.
There are already a number of sanctions against Russia. It certainly has become, a pariah nation around the world as a consequence of its invasion of Ukraine more than 3 years ago. So I'm just wondering.
Invasion of Ukraine 3 years ago. The invasion of Crimea in 2014. The invasion into Georgia, I think 2008.
Where does the United States get its authority to be a trusted player among warring factions? And does the focus now on Ukraine and Zelensky specifically tarnish that?
Well, I think you raise an important point, Jose. The sanctions on Russia are still in place. And as long as they are in place, we are doing something consistent with previous administrations, including the first Trump administration, to pressure Russia. But we're not doing anything new to pressure Russia and to bring Russia to the negotiating table and to make concessions. What we don't know is whether Russia is prepared to make concessions. And I think it would be incumbent upon our government to explain to us what it is they think Russia is willing to give up, to compromise on, why they think that there's a chance for a peace deal. Because otherwise, this really does look dangerous, and it looks like we're, on the brink of changing sides. Even if that's not the case, I think it's incumbent upon the...
That's not the case? Come on. It's plain as day. It's as plain as day. You is on the route to become a... You are, comrades. You are comrades. Here's the other one. Extortionist approach. Trump administration cuts off aid, intelligence sharing to weaken Ukraine. Of course, it's an extortionist approach. What else can it be? Former U.S. ambassador to Canada on tariffs. Trump is short of cash and looking for revenue. Hey, that extra cash pays those tax cuts. The tax cuts. Wants to raise the debt ceiling of the United States by $4 trillion, so he can give tax cuts to 4.5 trillion to the top 1%. Meanwhile, out of those tax cuts, the guy that makes $55,000 a year is going to pay $1,500 more a month per year. He's going to get no tax cut. He's going to get friggin'... Did you see that? Did you see that? It starts here, and then it goes up there like that. And you just fall for this crap. Now here, Joe Walsh, I think he was an Illinois senator at one time, ran for the U.S. presidency, I believe, in 2020. Pretty sure he's been a Republican from day one. Let's see what Joe Walsh has got to say. So you can see the date on this one. 5 hours ago, March 5 hours ago.
Trump is negotiating on behalf of Putin. I don't think Trump is friends with Putin. I think Trump works for Putin. I think Trump is compromised by Putin.
Good afternoon.
And that's the truth. Let me remind you, folks, let's replay this. This is where it's really at.
Trump is negotiating on behalf of Putin. I don't think Trump is friends with Putin. I think Trump works for Putin. I think Trump is compromised by Putin.
Good afternoon. This is The Times at 1 with Andrew Neil. At 100 minutes, it was the longest presidential address to Congress in American history. But President Trump still didn't manage to tell us anything new. And for that, we should be grateful. There's been enough shock and awe in his first 43 days of Trump 2.0. We deserve a break. But for the most part, it was the usual Trumpian braggadocio as he listed his greatest hits: the expansion of drilling for oil and gas, a crackdown on waste and federal spending, an end to taxes on tips, all-out attack on urban crime, watertight controls at the border and the deportation of illegal aliens, prohibition of transgender operations on youth, a ban on men competing in women's sports, a new homeland missile defense base based on Israel's Iron Dome.
And all this stuff is just to distract you so they can embezzle from the US Treasury, set up their buddy Putin, and try to collapse the economy in the state of Canada. Man, I'm north of the 49th parallel, and there's no way it's going to happen. It's not going to happen, but this is what Sweet Potato Hitler, a.k.a. Donald J. Trump's going to do. And this is where we're at. So now, I'm not going further into this video here. I'm going to move on to where I want to move on to. And that is, I'm going to cut this video short. By now, you people got to figure out what's going on. You also have to understand from the Canadian point of view, the International Democracy Union, IDU.org, which shows every conservative government around the world that's in situ in government and also in standby in the opposition in government around the world. You're going to be surprised by that. IDU.org. The chairman is Stephen Harper. And the treasurer is a Republican. So there you go. Coming to a channel near you. So now, in Canada, you've got a few options. You're going to have an election soon. Conservatives are just going to give tax breaks. They've got no idea what they're doing. Jagmeet Singh, his heart's in the right place, but doesn't have the maturity. Doesn't know what needs to be done either. He's going to tip things over in the wrong direction at the wrong time, so his timing is not going to be on. He's a good foot soldier, though. Pierre Poilievre, conservatives, I told you, they've only got tax cuts. They don't know what the hell they're doing. Guy spent his whole career just being an attack dog, doesn't know anything about policy, has no idea to get out of a crisis like we're going to go through now. He hasn't fought these wars. He doesn't understand this stuff. The Liberal Party, he wanted to get rid of Trudeau because of all the slogans from the Conservatives over the years. You got to understand, the front cortex, you've just been taking all that stuff in and you've been brainwashed. But meanwhile, when the going gets tough, Trudeau has stood up for Canada in a way that is necessary for right now. The fact of the matter is, he's going to have our guy by the name of probably Mark Carney take over for him. Mark Carney is very familiar with dealing with a financial crisis, will know how to stick handle through this. Because you're only going to have one chance here right now, folks. This is really happening. And if you want to get caught up in this friggin' Freedom Convoy stuff where it was 50% manufactured by the United States and financed by the United States, could have been handled better by Trudeau, obviously. If you think it's a real matter of free speech, look what Elon Muscolini did with Twitter. He's changed the algorithms to make sure that his message gets out there, and he can manipulate, like the ADF in Germany, his support for Pierre Poilievre in Canada. So you got to wake up, folks. This is real. This is happening. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not aligned to any party. I've never voted NDP. I have supported conservative and liberal, depending on who I felt was best for what was needed at the time. I'm telling you right now, liberals are the best ones to stick handle through this situation now. And it's going to be for 4 years. So questions, comments, throw in chat. If anxiety's getting a hold of you, do what my buddies do. Sending love and peace to everybody. Thanks for watching. Ciao.